Usually we have a few more people on, so I'm kind of concerned maybe they wouldn't get the link for some reason. All right. Okay. Well, it's 8:01, so we'll go ahead and start. Be respectful of our guest speakers' time. Before we go into their meat of the call, I'm going to, first and foremost, it's obviously April the 11th, which means we are still in the early part of the month, but still kind of closer to the middle. So whatever your goals are, you have plenty of time to achieve them before the end. Obviously, we have amazing things going on with the All Access Challenge Pack at 160. Brain explosion, right? So obviously we have the new 2 vegan formulas that have just come out. So use that, share it with people, and get it out there. And you guys, like I did a team call for Manny last night, and I basically was saying, and I say the same thing to you guys, is post your invites, but definitely go behind the scenes and invite, personally invite, right? Make people feel special that you're inviting them personally, and so make it a goal to reach your goal, okay? And then also, what else? Hopefully you guys went to Super Saturday. If you did not and you want to get the video, post on the team page. There's a YouTube link, I'm pretty sure, and you can watch it from there. But you definitely want to know what's going on in our world. And from there, let's go into our speakers. I'm going to have to read you guys stuff because you have a lot of good stuff. So one second. So they are double doing it tonight, which is really cool. They're teaming up together. And Manny Watkins, she is a 5-star diamond, 2014 Premier Coach, which is amazing, 2015 Elite, and Success Club 10 Legend, which means 24 plus months of Success Club 10 consecutively. Really cool, right? Really, really cool. All right. And then Abby Walsh, 5-star, 2015 Elite, and SC10 Legend as well. So you kind of get a reoccurring theme here for people who are having success. They are, reaching their Success Club goal every month and pushing forward past the 5 and going to 10, and then, making it a goal non-negotiable. But all right, so I'm going to let them just take it away and just go. So you guys go for it. Thank you so much for being on the call. We really, really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having us here, Natalie. It's good to see you 2 days in a row. So it's kind of cool. Abby and I are excited, and we're doing this together. And what's really cool about us, I don't know if you got this last night, but Abby is my coach. I'm her upline, and she'll tell you a little bit about how that happened. But not only are we on the same team, not only do we finish 5-star Elite the same year, but we are also success partners, and we have built a pretty awesome dual team. So we really foster that community in our team together, which we're pretty proud of. So it's really exciting to do this together with her here. So if it's okay, we'll just share a little bit about our stories and then get into the meat and potatoes. So Abby and I debated, we're like, what should we call this? Because it was a labor of love that this emerged from. So we kind of decided, a place for every coach and how actions lead to the attainment of goals. So we're going to get into both of those parts. But first, a little bit about my story. I am a mom. Besides all those things that Natalie mentioned, my most important role is a mom to a 6.5-year-old. I'm a wife. I'm a former social worker in mental health. I was licensed in the state of Michigan, and I was a social worker for 15 years working with mentally ill adults and developmentally disabled adults. And I fell into coaching literally by the fact that I was overweight. When my son was 2, I was carrying a lot of extra weight, 90 some pounds to be exact. I gained 60 pounds during my pregnancy. I didn't have Shakeology in my life. I didn't have Beachbody programs, but I was always into fitness. I wasn't one of those people that wasn't into fitness. I was a gym rat all my life. 20 some years I was a gym goer. I live in Michigan. During my whole pregnancy, I climbed dunes. I was very active. I can't say I wasn't active, but I also liked carbs, Jimmy John's, and almond horns, and I ate a lot of them every day, like several times a day. So I gained a lot of weight. And so my perfect little type A personality world came crashing down when I had my son, when I didn't bounce right back. I did have a C-section. I did have complications, and I wasn't able to go right back to the gym and put him in a nursery at 6 weeks, because guess what? I was a mom, and I was dealing with mom responsibilities and going back to work and mom guilt. And here I was. I found myself 2 years later having gone to the gym a handful of times. And so it was like really hard to juggle everything and spin all the plates and be a good mom and be a good professional wife and all that. And at the same time, I was in this taxing career that was getting more and more taxing in the social work field. So I joined the challenge group, and reluctantly, I agreed to buy a couple of shakes because I was completely skeptical, because I thought it was the gimmick, all that, and I knew everything about every shake except Shakeology. But I did it because I needed a solution, and I literally prayed for a solution. I'm like, I'm stuck. I need to do something because I don't like the way I look. I don't like how I feel, and it's affecting how my joy with my family. So I joined a group. I joined a group, like probably many of us, and I had a lot of health issues. I have an autoimmune disease. I was on a lot of medications, injections for that autoimmune disease. I have psoriatic arthritis, so I had a lot of myofascial and joint pain, a lot of digestive issues, IBD, that I was on medications for. And I was just not a healthy girl. And so the biggest thing that really got me, and this is a plug for Shakeology because it's changed my life for sure, is the difference in my health that I started noticing. So just feeling better, my digestion regulated, my depression was starting to lift. I was dealing with postpartum depression at the time as well. And within a few months of being on Shakeology and doing this challenge group and this thing I was totally skeptical about, I was able to titrate off my medications and just see a complete transformation little by little. So that's what sold me on this whole coaching thing. So I guess I wanted to share that because that little decision from a point of skepticism led to the biggest life change in my life. 2 years in, I quit my career. With the support of my husband, I just leaped off a branch, not because I was making $1 bajillion, but because I deserved better. I deserved to be in a place that I was being uplifted mentally, physically, and that other job that I was in, my career, was no longer doing that for me. And it was burning me out. My family was getting the last of me versus the best of me. And I said, this is incongruent. I'm trying to get healthy here, and yet I'm being beat down here. And it just didn't make sense. And I would have never done that were it not for this community, were it not for the strength I learned that I don't have to settle anymore. So 2 years in, I was able to do that. And accomplished the biggest goal ever of being able to take my son to school, pick him up, and just be completely involved in every part of his life. So that in itself, if coaching didn't do anything else for me but that, it's worth it. Okay. But that's just a little slice of my story. Of course, I've lost the 98 pounds. I've gotten healthier than I've ever been. I've met some of the most amazing women ever that I would have never met, never, ever, ever, ever met, were it not for that decision, were I not in that place of struggle 4.5 years ago. So just a big plug for struggle. That struggle is a setup that I believe God often puts in our path to bring us to a place that he knows we need to be that we don't yet know we're going to be at. So that's the case for me. So that's a little bit of my story. And Abby, if you want to share yours. And then, so we just kind of wanted to ping pong it back with our stories and then get into the meat and potatoes of what happened after you hear our stories, what happened to this, that brought us to this epiphany that helped us create these tools. And we're going to get a little raw and tell you some ugly stuff that we kind of felt we needed to like peel back the layer on after 2015. So.
Awesome, Manny. Well, so as Manny kind of alluded to a little bit, we've been working together for a while, and my story is unlike most people's stories because I actually own a gym. I own a group fitness studio. I have my master's in nutrition, and the way I came into this business is not traditional. So I actually was at my gym one day and I had a whole bunch of clients coming up to me at the gym asking me about different diet pills that were on the market, different supplements, different shakes. I can't name them all. I'm not going to slam anybody's products, but they brought all these to me. They asked me about them and I was like, don't take that crap. Like, eat food, work out, stop being stupid. And I wasn't even going to give anything the time of day. But they all kept coming back and asking more and more questions. And I was like, okay, pump the brakes, just don't take pills and I'll look into these supplements for you. So I started researching all different types of supplements on the market, and it was very easy for me to just pitch them all in the trash can very quickly. I'd read a couple ingredients and I was like, I can't believe this stuff's on the market. What a scam, you know? And then Shakeology came up actually, and I started reading through Shakeology. I started diving into their ingredients and how it was processed, and I couldn't find any reason to tell any of my clients to not drink that product. So I, really, I'm a nerd at heart. So I did a lot of research, and I decided before I told anybody that they could drink it, I was going to order myself a bag of Shakeology. So I went on to Beachbody.com. Have any of you ever received a lead before? So I went on to Beachbody.com that day, and I started looking through the pricing of Shakeology. And I'm also a little bit thrifty. I like to spend money, but only on things I really want to spend money on. So I was like, how can I get a deal on this slightly overpriced shake, I think, and even though I'd done a ton of research at that time, I knew it seemed really great. I had never tried it before, so I was still a little bit of a skeptic. And I decided that day, after reading all the fine print on Beachbody's website, that it was cheaper to be a coach, and there was no reason that I could find any fine print that I shouldn't just sign up to be a coach for the discount that day. So I ordered my first bag of Shakeology as a coach. And I did not know what Beachbody coaching was. I did not know what I was getting into. I thought I was just going to get a deal on this shake that day. So I ordered Shakeology, and I could tell you the whole long story with that. But long story short is I fell in love with Shakeology. My husband fell in love with Shakeology. We were both drinking it. And, 14 days in, we realized, like, we're out of this stuff. Like, what are we going to do? And so we ordered more. And over time, it became a natural overflow of my heart that I became obsessed with Shakeology and what it could do for your health. But rewind for a second. And when I signed up to be a coach, if y'all don't know, this happens when you're a diamond coach. If somebody signs up to be a coach that doesn't have a coach already, they get assigned to you in the lead wheel, just like customer leads. Manny got a coach lead for being a diamond coach, and she got me. And so my phone rang one day, and it was like, hey, did you sign up to be a Beachbody coach kind of thing, And I'm like, yeah, I did, and we had this conversation, and at first I was like, girlfriend, like, that's real cool what you're doing, but like, I'm a real professional when it comes to this stuff. Like, I'm not gonna work as a Beachbody coach, And so we had this great moment together. I'm sure you all have done Get Started Right calls, maybe not with somebody that you never even spoke to before that moment. But Manny calls me up, and we talked for probably an hour and a half that day. We had a great conversation. We connected, but I still was not convinced at the end of that phone call that I would do anything with this business. And, to shorten a really long story, of course I did. And that kind of leads us into, I can skip a lot of my story and just say that, when you really become successful in this business, it is when it becomes an overflow of your heart and who you are. For me, I was already into health and fitness, so I didn't have that classic weight loss story. But what I did have was an experience with Shakeology and an experience with learning about at-home fitness. I'll be honest with y'all, I didn't think it worked before. And then I was like, my coach is kind of like losing almost 100 pounds. I think that might work, And then it built on from there, that really when I became a sold out Beachbody lovers, when the 21 Day Fix program came out. And I can tell you all from a nutritionist perspective that there's no other nutrition plan that can beat that. I would charge somebody hundreds of dollars to come in and give them the same type of balanced nutrition plan. And the 21 Day Fix program delivered it in a simple way in those containers. So from that point on, in February 2014, when that program came out, I was kind of on fire for this, and I decided that, hey, this is something I actually want to pursue. I was working full-time as a dental hygienist. I was a full-time grad student. I had a 7-month-old daughter. I volunteer at my church. I sing on our worship team, and I own a gym. So anybody who says they're busy, maybe you've had that objection before, I'm too busy for coaching. Well, we're only busy enough until we realize that it bumps up on the priority list. And for me, that's when it happened in 2014 with the 21-day fix. It became a priority for me because I saw more than just sharing something that could change somebody's health a little bit here and there to I could actually make this a business. And at that point in time, I was still working as a dental hygienist, and I didn't think I ever wanted to leave that career. Not true. I left that career, I think, over 2 years ago now. I haven't worked as a dental hygienist. So, I always say to people and my coaches too, just like, I didn't know that I wanted to coach back when Manny called me. I didn't know I wanted to do that. So when your coaches say they don't know if they want to coach, the best thing you can do for them is meet them where they're at, which is tagline to what we're going to talk to you about today, and then give them opportunity to grow from there. And I had opportunity to see that I wanted more, and I wanted more and more and more and more and more until, I was sitting there April of 2015 in what was that, Cancun, and they gave a talk on our Success Club trip about Elite. And Manny and I looked at each other and we said, I think we should do that this year, And we started going after it in April. So it's April right now. And if you say, I want to be an elite coach this year, I don't want you to brush it off, the thought. At that point in time, I had 9 elite points in April of 2015. And I was only, let's think about this. I actually, at that point in time, was only a 1-star diamond coach. I just hit 1 star. So I went from 9 elite points and just hitting 1 star to 5-star diamond elite at the end of the year. So know that anything is possible, but it all starts from, working with your team where they're at and giving them the steps that it takes to meet their personal goals, because you'll never meet your own goals only chasing your goals. You have to help other people reach their goals and meet them where they're at. So without saying any more about my story, because I could talk about it all night long, there's so many layers. Manny and I are going to talk to you guys about our journey from, the intensity that we went in 2015 shooting for Elite, and kind of what happened from there and what we learned along the way. So Manny, go ahead.
Absolutely. I just want to say too, every time Abby, we've shared this story so many times, but every time she shares this story about how I called her, I literally remember feeling, first of all, I don't like to be on the phone with people. Does anybody else relate to that? Do y'all not like to be on the phone? We do so well on voice talk and texting, but I'm like, don't get me on the phone. Something told me that day to get on that phone, probably my husband, call that girl. You just got to coach, call that girl. But I was scared out of my mind because I was like still losing pounds, you guys. So I don't know what everybody's background in here, but I just felt compelled to share that my personal coin phrase that I'm embracing, and I have it, do and the confidence will follow. You don't have to be confident to make a move. You don't have to be confident to reach out. I wasn't confident when I called Abby, and I certainly wasn't confident when she told me that she was a nutritionist, and I was like, oh gosh. And then she hated vanilla Shakeology, because so did I. I didn't think it was good. But I was confident enough that, you know what, maybe we'll connect and something will come out of this. And so anyway, you could still face your fears, and you could still go forward confidently, even when you're fearful and when you feel like you're still working on your journey. That's the biggest thing that I wanted to put out there with that, because it's really been life-changing approaching life that way. So anyway, like Abby said, you guys, we made a decision in Cancun that we were going to go for Elite. We were in that talk, and I forget who it was, maybe Jeremy Red, I want to say at the time, was going over all the Elite points, and we're like, what is that? And it was breaking it down, and we were asking questions, and I had like maybe 40 points. I was like, okay, we're like, well, maybe we can go for it, but we didn't all know what it entailed. But we, like Abby said, we made a decision that we were going to go for it. And we really put on that focus hat on, and we said, we're going to do this. We know what it takes. It's going to take helping our Coaches Hit Success Club. It's going to take, really getting everybody on board with that, mainly that, and obviously recruiting. But it was really a focus for Success Club, because we believed in Success Club. We believed in changing lives through Success Club, through the tools. So that's what our focus went to. And we did great. We were signing up coaches left and right, and we were helping coaches hit Success Club. And, you know, there was a lot of laser focus with messaging and helping people and pushing people. You got to hit Success Club. Don't fall short at 4. You know, don't fall short at 3. And, you know, it was great. It was great. We hit it. We hit it together. It was wonderful. But what we realized at the end of, what was it, the beginning of 2016, after we hit it, after we, you know, got the call, got, you know, the flowers and all that, it was wonderful. We just started noticing something. And it wasn't apparent in 2015 as it was happening, because everybody was kind of running with us. But we started noticing that people were a little disengaged. You know, the fire we had seen, people weren't showing up as much. All of a sudden, at least for myself, I started seeing people who were hitting Success Club all of a sudden, like, yeah, just not even trying. And these were people who had done it consistently. And I was angry about it. I was mad. And I was like, why aren't people working? What's wrong with these people? They know what to do. They know how to do it. You know, we got to do this again. We got to do this again. 2016, Ali, we got to do this again. We got to start January, you know. And it became, for a while, and this is not the person I am at all, because I'm very much about giving to others and empowering and filling other people's buckets and all that. But I caught myself getting caught up in that recognition only. And I didn't know it was happening. You know, you like that feeling, you like those lights, you like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, okay? Please believe that my love language is words of affirmation and gifts too. But I also like to give them as much as I receive them. And Abby is very much the same as well. But what we realized and how this beautiful thing we're going to share with you guys came about is that we had to do self-eval and had to realize, why are people disengaging? And at first, it's very hard to realize people are disengaging when you don't see what you're doing as possibly being part of the problem, right? It's easy to say, people are just lazy. People are making excuses. People who used to work before are just not showing up, right? But it's a lot harder to say, why? So Abby and I started asking why, right? Because we know we're good leaders. We know we are good leaders. We know we created every amazing tool under the sun. Trust me when I tell you we have. You know, we know that we provided support and team calls. And yet people were disengaging. We're like, why? People were dropping rank. People were, you know, and it was becoming more frustrating. And we were like, but if you're dropping rank, that's going to affect me too. If you're not hitting Success Club, what about my goal? And it was like us. It felt that way. And then we just took a step back and by talking, we started doing our power hours together. And we started really talking and really like figuring out what's going on, what is going on. And just really through conversations, we figured out that there was a real disconnect, that there was a gap, right, between the haves and the have-nots, or how people saw themselves. And you know, or the equivalent of between those who had hit Success Club before and those who maybe weren't anymore. And those people were the same people, right? Because maybe they hit it. And then they got tired and burned out, and they just felt like it was just about Success Club. Now, let me preface this and say that Success Club is important. Obviously, I believe in it. I believe it's the way we help people get results. It is important. But I think the way we were presenting it as the only variable, the only facet of success through our actions, and not necessarily asking people what is it that you want to do with this business? Yeah, Success Club, that's the only way. That's success. It made people feel like outliers, okay? So that gap between where they were maybe, where they were starting to get confident when they hit it that one year, right? And the gap now where they weren't hitting it, or maybe they were getting 2 points on the board, was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And us not, validating that, hey, you still helped one life. was making them doubt that obviously there's not a place for me in this team. They didn't say this, but it took a lot of soul searching and a lot of conversations and a lot of reflection for us to realize that that's what was happening. And so we put our goals on the table, on the back burner, and we said, is it more important to hit elite? And again, that's still a goal. Don't get me wrong. And elite is wonderful. Natalie's elite is wonderful. But we had to step back and say, what are we meant to learn from this? You know, are we meant to learn something and become better leaders as a result? And the answer was yes. Both Abby and I said yes. We are leaving people behind, people who maybe would feel successful if we just gave them a measure of success that was not just Success Club or just the rank. And so, but how do we do that? But how do we do that and still accomplish our goals, right? Or like, how do we do that and still accomplish our goals of elite? How do we do that and still accomplish our rank goals? I mean, we kept asking these questions, and we're like, you know, we just come honest with them, and we just let everybody know that they can start where they stand, wherever they are, whether they've backstepped or whether they're starting fresh for the first time. We want everybody to feel like they have a place, a step to sit on, and that the staircase, one stair isn't any better than another stair. And as long as you're on the staircase, whether you move slower, you shuffle, you crawl up, it doesn't matter, because we don't want anybody to feel like they're in the hallway because they're not like at the 10th step. And again, I tell you guys this, and I'm really putting a lot into this because it took a lot. When you're a very goal-driven person, like we are, it took a lot to reflect and say, this might mean that we're not going to hit elite in 2016. But what does it matter if we gain, again, further the respect of the team, if we gain those people who have fallen off, and if we let people know that they're part of a link of a bigger chain, beyond just the recognition and the shiny, pretty thing and the lights, which is also nice, right? So this is how we came up with this no coach left behind. So I'm going to share my screen, you guys, and get into this here. So can you guys see this? Okay. All right. Let me, I wonder if I could move my face here. Sorry. Okay. So what this is, you guys, let me just see if I can make it a little smaller. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh. Seriously, me and this Mac, I'm telling you what, I'm still like, okay, here we go. We'll just not touch it. Let's just not touch it. Okay. So both Abby and I were very much and are very much believers in the leadership ladder. We heard Melanie talk about, at Summit about the leadership ladder, Melanie Mitro, and we're like, man, that's brilliant. It's measurable. The leadership ladder is more accurate than just the rank, because the leadership ladder focuses on actions. If you take certain actions and you focus on one action, like, hey, I want to raise my team my week-led volume this month, or I want to help one coach get a point on the board, that's so measurable that you can't help but grow. So we really fell in love with that whole leadership ladder concept, but we realized through our conversation, through our reflection, that guess what? Not everybody was going to fall even on the business starter step. So we're like, well, that's no good. That could still have outliers, right? So we're like, we're going to create our own ladder. We're going to create our own steps. And it's going to have 2 steps prior to the business starter. And Abby's actually going to get into that. But if you guys kind of look at this real quick, you'll see that underneath each one, so the 2 steps we created that we're very proud of is forward progress in my fitness, okay? And paying it forward, right? So Abby's going to get into which one this applies to, but we thought these are great beginner steps, right? That people can start with. And we have checklists that we're going to share with you guys that each of these steps has, so people could know exactly what to do. And each step, as you'll notice, has the same foundation, but builds a couple more steps, right? So it's just kind of like a cumulative, kind of like size, right? You build the next move on, the next move, the next move, then you put it all together. That's like this, right? A little dance, okay? So, but you'll see underneath each one, it does coincide with the leadership ladder, the actual formal leadership ladder. This would be for a person who's just a coach that would follow this particular checklist. This one would also be a coach. Now this one, when you get to business starter, obviously you guys know what this is. It coincides with exactly what the leadership ladder states: $100 a month plus, hitting Success Club 5, and then so forth and so on, as you progress. And then we also just created the organizational ladder checklist also. So what we did, you guys, is every single step in the ladder, we created a to-do list, so that no matter where the person was, if they wanted to be here, but they wanted to progress to here, they could use this checklist. And if they were here but close to here, they could start using this. And they know exactly the actions to take to get them to that next level. So not just, let's just work on my week-like volume, but specific to-do lists every single day that they have in front of them. And if they check it off, they know that they have accomplished their priorities for that day. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and share it, give it over to Abby to share the
Awesome.
nitty-gritty of it.
Thanks, Annie. So guys, when it comes down to this, I shared with you in the beginning, a little bit of my story. I was incredibly, I hate the word busy. I try not to use it, but I had a lot of things on my plate when I first got started in this, and my time was in a lot of different buckets. And I had to learn very early on that there were a lot of things I could do in Beachbody that were good. But if I really wanted to be great, I had to focus on what was important and what was going to move my business forward versus all of the fluff. And what we were finding with coaches is this. Don't be afraid. All of us have been there. I can very clearly recall the months that I had not hit Success Club in this business. But, where do you find yourself right now? Do you find yourself as somebody that you're like, every single month I hit Success Club, it's a non-negotiable, I've narrowed down the tasks it takes to get there? Or would you more find yourself in a place where you're like, some months I get some points, some months I get no points, some months I hit Success Club, and it's a little bit more inconsistent? Think about that right now, okay? And you don't have to knock yourself down for it. But what we were finding through this period of self-evaluation was, what was creating those gaps for coaches? And for most coaches, it was that we were putting our focus on way too many different things instead of focusing on the things that mattered. And we felt like we were working all day long, but never really working at all. So just like in our own fitness, right? No other business, I can't even stop talking about how much I love Beachbody. No other business compares to the parallels that we have in our business to the product we represent. So, in Beachbody, we represent fitness and nutrition products. And how frustrating is it for you or your challengers when you're doing the right thing and you're not getting results, right? You only do the right thing and not get results for so long before the chocolate bar seems like such a better option, right? It's just the truth. Amen. Yeah. So it's the same way in our business. We can only think that we're doing the right thing and do daily power hours and, reach out to people and invite for so long without the result we wanted of Success Club 5 before we just stop doing it. And we've labeled ourselves down in the ground as like somebody who can't hit Success Club. That works for other people, but it doesn't work for me, and we start completely limiting our belief in ourselves that we're capable of doing it because we think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But it's just like, what I do with people as a nutritionist is, I'm really adamant in my challenge groups about people posting their food log every day, because I know at the end of the day, you're not doing exactly what you want to do to get your results. There's something in there. It's the smallest little tweak, but you were never measuring your teaspoons and you were always licking the peanut butter spoon. There's a little tweak we have to make that's going to get you the result. And that's what these checklists are meant to do. That's what this ladder step is meant to do, is for you to narrow down on the thing you're maybe not doing that's going to create all the change in your business, right? Because really it's one of my coined phrases is what you track grows. We can very easily say, I had friends on Facebook every day, But if you have to literally make a little check mark by a box that says I added friends on Facebook today, that's when we have to come to terms with, like, did we do it or did we not do it? Just like when I have to have my clients post their food log to say, like, but did you really eat the orange container or did you skip the orange container today? It works the same way. So that's kind of what I'm going to show you with these checklists right now. I'll share my screen. But, just to kind of touch on what Manny showed you real quick first, is that with this ladder, and I should probably open it so you can see a full screen. Can you guys see that? Can you see it enough? Yeah. Cool. So like she was starting to share with you there, is that we have this foundation that never changes. So if you're a coach right now who's been working the business for a long time, but maybe you're not where you want to be right now, what I'd love to see you consider doing is putting yourself to the basics for even just a day and ask yourself, like, am I really doing all of those things? So if we look at the very, very basics of, what I would say, even somebody on our team who is enjoying the discount, they're enjoying the discount as a coach on our team, they're working on their own journey. What's the difference between somebody who just signed up to be a coach for the discount and someone who's having forward progress in their fitness journey? Well, the difference is this: the people who are having forward progress in their fitness journey are rock stars in their challenge group. They're showing up in their challenge group every day, right? The people who are having forward progress in their fitness journey, not just staying stagnant or not getting results, are doing personal development every day. Even if they're not trying to build a business, we have to believe that we can make behavior changes, and that comes in personal development. They have to drink their Shakeology every day. They have to push play every day. They have to stay connected with their team to feel like they're not just a challenger, but they're a coach. They're part of a community. They have to be connected with the team on team calls and the team pages, and they have to be sharing their journey on social media. And I say that could be in their challenge group or that could be publicly. But if we're not sharing it, it's usually not happening, right? So those are the differences between somebody who's just, has a program and has Shakeology and somebody who's getting results, right? So then the same goes for paying it forward. If somebody wants to pay it forward, what's going to be the difference between the person who's getting results in their fitness journey and the person who's paying it forward? Well, it's those 3 steps on the top plus 1 bolded word. They're sharing their journey on social media daily. Because if we want to build credibility and confidence and trust where people are going to want to join us, that has to be something we're doing daily. Then also we have to be inviting people to join us. That is the difference maker. And we have to get 1 or more people started with the Tools for Success, which is what we call a challenge pack, and then get challengers results through challenge groups. That's the difference between somebody who's enjoying the discount and somebody who's paying it forward. We're actually getting somebody signed up. Maybe it's not 3 people, but it's somebody, and we're inviting people. And then you just look, we're going to go through these here. What's the difference between somebody who's doing that? This is the biggest gap. This is why we had to create this. Because it's not easy to go from nothing to Success Club 5, right? What are the steps in between there? And the things that are going to make that difference are right here. So started where it's bolded, share journey, posting on social media 3 times a day. And not just sharing our journey, but we're doing the 80-20 rule. It's life and business. We're not just a sales log, but we're showing how Beachbody filters into our life. And then we're inviting people daily through a consistent power hour. That's going to bridge the gap between maybe getting 1 person started and hitting Success Club 5, getting 3 people started. Getting our challengers results through the challenge groups and accountability, running monthly challenge groups, and transitioning successful challengers to coaches. So those are the things that are going to make the difference. And I'm not going to go any further than that right now because I want to start everybody right there and then know that there's more steps to grow from there. Okay. So if I go back to my folder here, I'm actually going to show you a checklist. So we're going to start at that business starter checklist because I'm going to assume if you guys are on a team call here right now, your goal is to help people. Your goal is to help people pay it forward. And your ultimate goal, like Manny and I both shared, although Success Club is not the only measure of success, it is a benchmark that you must strive for if you want to grow a business. And that's why we love this ladder and showing you that, we have to know our coach's goals because maybe one of you, or maybe a few of you, or maybe your coach doesn't actually want to make $100 a month with this business consistently. That's not a goal of theirs. Their goal is to continue to get results on their own journey and maybe help one or two people here and there. And that's okay. How we support people and we facilitate an environment where maybe they do want to hit Success Club is by meeting their goal where they are. But you as a leader will never grow somebody to hit Success Club if you don't first do it yourself by nailing down these tasks. So business starter checklist is where we're all going to be right now. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it. But so here's the deal. On this checklist, it has little check boxes because I'm a pen and paper kind of gal for every day of the week that you should be doing something. So for drinking Shakeology and pushing play on your workout, this is something we should be doing every single day, and reading or listening to 10 minutes of personal development. So there's a little checkbox for every day of the week on there for you to do. Now those tasks, as you can see, and posting on Facebook every day, 3 times a day, our lifestyle, workout, Shakeology, healthy food, progress. We're not spending an hour creating a beautiful graphic for social media. We're going to make sure our pictures are bright and eye-catching and clear. But what's more important than anything is that you're getting that content out there and that you're spending your time on what matters. And you don't have to work this business for 8 hours a day. You have to work it for 1 solid focused hour. And then these other things are just the non-negotiables that happen. We drink our shake, we push play, we listen to personal development, and we post on Facebook. All the time, just to do one 1 minute preach moment for you, is I hear from people all the time that you can't really work this business in an hour a day. Just in case you didn't know, in the real world, nobody pays you to do your workout, and nobody pays you to eat your food. They usually don't pay you over lunch. So the only time you actually have to work is your power hour. The rest of the time, we're sharing our life on Facebook like you would have done in your prior Beachbody life. You're working out what you need to do to be healthy, and you're filling your mind with positive thoughts instead of junk on TV or trashy songs on the radio, okay? So know that those things are just non-negotiable parts of our day to be better people and healthier people. The business is this 1 hour that's in dark green. This is your power hour activities. So if you want to go from that place where we're helping people occasionally, or even where we're not getting progress in our own fitness journey to we're getting progress, that's all included on this list. But our power hour activities, this is how we break it down. So we check into our challenge groups, we comment, and we support on other challengers' posts in our group. Okay, I did that for 5 minutes, check mark, okay? Then I checked into my team page, I'm part of the community, I comment and support with my fitness family. Check mark, I did that during my power hour. I grow my network by adding at least 3 friends every day on Facebook. That's, what Manny and I both agree on as a business starter. If you want to do that, you need to be adding at least 15 people to your network every week, 5 days a week, doing that in a power hour. If you want to grow a team to be a team builder or a team leader, those numbers go up, okay? So then what we call 5-3-2, and you might call it something different on your team, but basically we're connecting with people, we're inviting people, we're mentoring people. That's it. So we start 5 new non-Beachbody conversations. We invite 3 people that we connected with the prior week. And then we check in with 2 of our coaches or challengers. That's a 5-3-2. Then we follow up with previous no's and past challengers, and we respond to messages, always oldest to newest. How many of you, by a show of hands, I can't see y'all on my little screen right now, say you get caught up answering messages a lot? Do you maybe think you're doing a power hour, but you spent the whole time answering messages, right? Instead of adding people to your network, starting new conversations, and inviting new people. So that's why that's listed last on the to-do list, is respond to messages. And I really recommend, if you'd follow this, that you follow it from that first point to the end point, because that's typically what people struggle with the most, is that, we need to spend our time checking into our challenge groups. That's important. If you're not a product of the product and you're not setting the example first, nobody else is going to do it either. We have to be part of the team. We have to know what's going on in our team and our community. We have to add to our network, and we have to talk to new people and invite them. So start there and work your way down. Then the other items on the list that are outside the power hour are weekly items and monthly benchmarks. And the monthly benchmarks you will naturally hit if you're doing the daily and weekly things, but it's just a self-evaluation point for you to say, did I do it or did I not do it? So weekly, staying connected on team calls and the national wake up call. Weekly, planning your meals, grocery shopping, and meal prepping. That's important, guys. If we're not doing it ourselves, how can we expect our challengers to do it? And how can we get results on our own journey? Like Manny said, we start where we stand, and we can be getting our own results along the way too. She was, and she could lead me, and we could move together in this business. But if we're not moving forward in our own journey, we're not going to be a coach that people want to join. People are very inspired by people who are on their journey, but not by people who aren't making any movement towards being healthier themselves. Okay. So then sharing our transformation progress. I believe, and Manny believes, that weekly we should be showing some sort of growth in our lives. Maybe it's growth, internally, through our personal development, growth, in our health with Shakeology, how it's changing us, or through a 3-day refresh, or through our progress in a new program. But if we're not showing people that we're in a constant state of growth, that doesn't seem like something they'd want to join. And then weekly having an invitation post to something, whether you're inviting to a challenge group, a free group, or the coaching opportunity. So those are just some weekly benchmarks for you to hit. And then monthly, if you do these things daily and weekly, you will successfully get 3 people enrolled with a challenge pack and hit Success Club 5 or more. You will be running a challenge group because you will have people to do it, right? And then you will get your challengers results because you've been checking in with them every day in the group, and you're on a journey yourself as well. And you'll be able to transition successful challengers to coaches, because in the end, they got results and want to pay it forward as well too. So in a nutshell, that's a checklist. And I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. I want to allow time for questions, but know that these checklists just build and grow upon each other. So the team builder checklist is going to look exactly like this, with just a couple extra tasks on it, or upping your numbers of, adding 5 friends instead of 3 every day. So it's meeting you where you're at with your goals, instead of putting a one-size-fits-all formula, because often we think, I want to be star diamond, or I want to be diamond, or I want to be whatever. So I have to do what all those people are doing. And you see all the exterior things they're doing, and that's what you put your focus on, instead of this grit. This is what they're actually doing. And we have to master that level 1 before we can ever go further than that. What I always, I forget what personal development I read it in. I always, P.S., I thought personal development was for the birds. I was wrong. Now I'm a junkie. So if you think it's for the birds, get over yourself and you'll grow your business. But, one of the people, I want to think it's Brian Tracy, because I've been on a Brian Tracy kick. He talks about, if I give you step 1, and then I give you step 2, and you don't do step 2, but you do step 5, how successful are you really going to be? And that we have to build upon those layers one step at a time, or else we just get burnt out and we're thinking we're doing the right things, but we have no base. So this is all about building your foundation and then growing from there as you meet those tests. So that's my portion of this. And Natalie, I just want to ask if you guys have any questions first, and we can go from there.
This is amazing. And I think, you guys definitely share the checklist. I think, did you share it on the wall at one point, maybe?
We did share them in the wall, yeah.
Okay. So
but we could share them with you guys. We could share them with you.
Okay, awesome. So if you just want to send it via message or whatever, that'd be great. And I'll post in our team page. What else do we have? I'm sure we have some sort of questions, comments, other than awesome. Lots of great feedback, obviously. This was great. A lot of times, we get on calls and there's a lot of fluff, and let's be honest, there's a lot of motivation and fluff and that sort of thing. But this is actionable stuff that you can take and go, just go with your business. So this is really, really, really awesome. So what else do we have before? Okay, we've got about 10 minutes before we need to let them go back to their lives and their business. They've been so gracious to share tonight. So what else do we have?
I wanted to add too, while you guys are thinking, that one thing we do here too, like you'll see, Abby and I always talk about, walking the walk ourselves, and we just, what this created for us is our own accountability. You hear people saying, I'm going to hold you accountable. Well, guess what? We're adults. We can hold ourselves accountable. You know what I mean? I mean, this shifts it a little bit, saying like, whenever if I have this on my desk and there's like no check marks, I'm like holding myself accountable that why didn't I check mark it? Probably because I didn't do it. So again, it's a great self-reflection, self-accountability tool. And so what Abby and I have started doing is, we've run a lot of training groups, but we have kind of like an ongoing group where it's like people post if they sign up a coach, like separate, like Go Emerald over and over again kind of group. And we started sharing this, just our own accountability. And we're like, here's what we did, kind of walking the walk. So anyway, it's just something meaningful that, it's silly to create something and then not use it yourself. And like Abby and I always say, we're like, people know if you say you're using something and you're not. People sniff it out. Like, you're really not doing it, so they're not doing it. It's like kind of like something in the universe just kind of says, you're full of crap, you're not using it. So we have to use it if we want our coaches to use stuff.
For sure. And again, it's a lot of like the new business activity tracker. I mean, the old one, I was like cross-eyed, like I can't do that business activity tracker. I just can't. The new one is a lot more user-friendly. I think Kim Carver created that. So again, that would be something sort of the same line if you guys wanted to use that. And I think I shared it in the team page recently, but it's on point of what we have to be doing every single day to grow. So you could use, what you guys have, or the new BAT, or whatever tracker works best for you. But again, yes, it's so key. And we all know sometimes we get sidetracked and scrolling and thinking we're working and we're not actually doing the base of what we need to be doing. So I love this call because it's the stuff, right? It's the stuff that we need to be doing every day. So
it's also, I don't know, Abby, if we mentioned this, I don't think we did, but it's also a great way for us to capture those coaches who maybe don't see themselves as having the potential to grow yet. We all know we got to give people grace, right? We know how long it takes us to build confidence, but these checklists also work well for people who maybe just, you could see they're tentative or timid about things. How cool is it that we can give a brand new coach, or a coach who maybe has pulled back a little bit, a forward progress in your fitness, or just do this, and just have them focus on that. It's like, we're always going back to that. And I feel like we could always, it's not backsliding if we're able to go to a coach who maybe was at a business starter, but then they're like, I just can't do it right now. And they're like, it's okay. Just focus on this. It still gives them that success and that tangible.
Yeah. One thing I'll add, guys, is that, I coin myself a lot of times as like the person that just gives it to you straight, because that's my fitness background for you. But the truth is, if we won't check it off, it's because we're not doing it. At the end of the day, I remember being part of training groups when I first signed up, and they'd be like, drop a picture of your business activity tracker, which I agree with Natalie used to be written in French or something. But, you look at it and I'm like, but why was I not tracking on the business activity tracker? It's because I wasn't adding people every day. I wasn't inviting people every day. And that's the reason why. It's just like at the end of the day, when my challengers try to tell me like, I don't have enough time to post that food log. I'm like, really? You don't have 2 minutes. It will take you 2 minutes to type out what you ate. What you meant to say is you don't want to type that a Snickers bar was your snack today. That's what you meant to say. Okay. So let's clarify, and that's what you guys don't mean to say, but are saying whenever you don't do it. And I'm the same way, Manny and I are human beings that have to work on discipline, but it's like, why do I not want to post a picture of my tracker today? Well, it's because I didn't add 10 people, right? So we have to be honest with ourselves about that. And yeah, sometimes people view it as like an extra step, like, oh, I'm doing that. I don't want to check it off. But the real question to ask yourself is, if you are doing it, why won't you take 2 seconds to check it off, right?
yes, I used to work with a corporate mentor. Well, I still do, but I was working with a different one. My first corporate mentor, and he would not get on the phone with me unless I sent him my activity tracker. And I remember several calls that the tracker wasn't that great. And he'd be like, well, what's wrong? Why do you feel a certain way? And I'm like, my business isn't moving forward. And he's like, can you look at your activity tracker? And I would look at it, and he was like, that's why your business isn't moving forward. And then there were times where I was like, I am on top of the world. My business is amazing. He's like, look at your tracker, because you kicked butt. You did, more than you were supposed to do. And so seriously, it does make a difference. So I just remember that he was like, I'm not talking to you unless you are doing the work, right? I'm not wasting my time to fluff you up. You know what you need to do, track it, show me, and then we'll talk. And I'm like, okay, all right. So it's true. It's true.
The other thing, real quick, just to tag on to that I'd really encourage you guys to do, and, you don't have to use our checklist if that doesn't resonate with you. What I always tell people at the end of the day is just track your business. I don't care how you do it, but track your business, and what I love about, our checklist, I'm a pen and paper person, whether you do the BAT or you do that checklist, but like my checklist is right here in my binder, right? Well, I've got weeks of this. So now when I pity myself and I say like, oh, why am I not at Success Club yet? I have to go back and I say, well, how long have you been consistent for, Abby? How long have you been adding friends every day again on Facebook? How long have you been inviting every day, right? Because how many of you, just like those darn containers in our workouts, I parallel it all the time, that you're like, you hit a plateau and you have to ask yourself, well, how long have I really been consistent for? A week? It's like when 2 days after eating clean, you like lift your shirt for a little ab check and you're like, oh man, really not yet? I'm working so hard, and it's the same way in our business. It's got to be repeatedly, day after day, week after week. Hold it with me month after month before you see the results of those actions. So checking it off and being able to see, okay, I've been doing this for weeks. Then before you know it, the return starts to come in. So track it.
I love that, Abby. And I just saw Tammy's comment lost in the preparation. We just shared this with our team yesterday too. We can get into a paralysis of analysis sometimes. You feel me on that? You feel me? Okay. Legit, there's so many systems out there. We don't suffer from a shortage of systems. There's so many amazing coaches that share and are so gracious with their sharing. Here's what I found though. You can have too many options, just like when you go to a restaurant, right? And you got that menu that's got 5 pages and you're like sitting there looking at it. You're not even looking at the menu. You're thinking about what you need to do because you're so lost because there's too many options, right? But as soon as you're like, I like chicken. Where's the chicken dish, right? So if you know how your brain works, if you know you like chicken, get that tracking sheet that is chicken, like Abby said, use your notebook that resonates with you. Use a checklist that resonates with you. You don't have to delve into every system. And trust me when I tell you that that's what I used to do. Oh, this is better. And then you start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm not tracking the right way. If you're tracking all the pillars, all the right activities, you're going to have it in front of you. So it's just do it. Just pick something and do it, kind of like we tell people in their fitness. We don't tell challengers, well, if you don't like this one program, obviously, unless there's limitations, we don't tell them to bounce around when they're doing this for the first time. We say, pick a program, stick to it, give it a chance, then we'll evaluate. So it goes the same way with our business. It's really true. Like Abby said, if we're doing these activities, we're going to see results. It's inevitable. It's just the laws of averages. So Jim Rohn will talk about that all day long. You can't help it. As you talk to more people, your average goes up. Everybody's the same. So you can't, I know we're not passionate about this at all. So I hope.
No.
Yeah.
None of us are, because that's why we're spending our Tuesday night on a Zoom call. Otherwise, we'd be, eating bonbons and watching TV right now. All right, guys. So we are right at 9. So does anybody else have anything before we take our picture and then go about the rest of our week? Anything? All right. So Karen, do you want to show your picture? I know Tammy, you can't. Okay, there's Karen and Tammy can't. All right, so we traditionally take a group picture every single week and then post. So put your whatever face that you're feeling on. On 3, 1, 2, 3, and then one more, 1, 2. All right, yay. All right, thank you ladies so much. This was great. Again, this is a lot of actionable items that is, we can apply to our businesses, and I really, really appreciate it. So,
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And Jen Hayes just said, listen again. I'm one of those who listens to our team calls at least one more time, because you just always get so much out of it, regardless of who's speaking. So, what wave are you guys on? Coral. Both of you? Awesome. Yeah. We are too. Cool. Yay. So we'll see you in a couple weeks in the beautiful sunshine and so
awesome.
Yay. Yes.
So spend this evening with you guys. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So love you guys, and we'll see you next week.